Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Chef Cordell of Eating Well with Chef Cordell Consulting. You can always find me online at www.chefcordell.com. Alright, so today we're making one of my favorite treats, brownies. I know we all love brownies baked in a particular way. Now these are actually going to be slightly different, but it'll still give you that same taste and feel of eating regular brownies. They'll be a little bit healthier though. Why? Because they'll include black beans. And I know that sounds wild, but of course with black beans being a really good source of protein and fiber, these are actually going to be a lot healthier for you. And trust me, once you make them, you'll like them. But before we get started, let's take a look at the equipment and preparation needed. In our black bean brownie recipe, we're going to use about 1.5 cups of black beans, but it's hugely important that you rinse and drain them first. You want to get all that excess salt and liquid off of them. You want to use about 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, about 1/2 cup of quick oats, just a pinch of salt, so maybe 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of coconut oil, about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, which is going to help them rise, and about 3/4 cups of chocolate chips, and you want to use a little bit more for topping. Now, if you use dark chocolate, or the darker the chocolate is, the healthier it's going to be. So however your threshold is for dark chocolate, the higher the percentage is, the healthier it'll be. So our first step was to preheat our oven to 350 and to grease a baking pan about 8 by 8. Okay, so a nice spray to use is like an olive oil spray that can work perfectly fine. All right, so our next step is to combine all of the ingredients except the chocolate chips into a food processor, and then we're going to blend those until they're smooth. Okay, so we'll take the chocolate chips, put those to the side here, and grab our food processor. All right, and then we'll just start adding the ingredients, and you can add them in whichever order that you like. Okay. Now, when it comes to food processors, they are different than blenders. Food processors are made to be able to chop up things very quickly, whereas blenders are, because they're wider, blenders are taller. They're more so made for liquids. So if you have something wide like a food processor, it can very quickly chop everything up. In that blender, what'll happen is it'll get the stuff that's at the bottom, but it'll take a while for it to get the stuff that's at the top, okay? So at this point, we've added our beans, our cocoa powder, our quick oats. We're gonna add just a pinch here of salt as well. And what the salt is gonna do, whenever you're baking, you always see salt in a recipe, but you never taste it. But what happens is that salt starts to interact with the other ingredients, and it helps to bring out the flavors of those things. Now, of course, if you add too much, then it becomes salty, which we don't want to have happen. All right, so we've added our salt here. We got our coconut oil in here as well. We're going to add about 1/2 cup of maple syrup. Next, now of course, make sure that you use maple syrup and not pancake syrup. All right, 2 completely different things. Maple syrup is definitely healthier, especially for diabetics. Pancake syrup, of course, is not. All right. So we're going to add a little bit of vanilla here, about 2 teaspoons. And then lastly, we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And as I mentioned before, the baking powder is what's known as a leavener, so it's going to help this rise, okay? So we got that in there now. And we're going to put this onto our food processor top or bottom, and we're going to blend this up. I'll be right back. Now that I've let this blend for about 20 or 30 seconds, I'm going to take our attachment out, wipe off the excess because that's the good stuff. And of course, the mix is nice and smooth. So if it takes a little bit longer to process, that's perfectly okay, but you want it to be nice and as smooth as you can, okay? So now that that's done, I'm going to take my chocolate chips, put these in, Just kind of stir them up a little bit. Okay. Now that that's done, we're going to take this and put this into our prepared baking dish here. Now, if you have a rubber spatula, it's a lot easier to get the product off of the sides and off of the bottom, all right? So I highly suggest, just for this and for other purposes when it comes to cooking, getting a high heat rubber spatula. I think they're great. All right, so we're going to take this here and smooth it out just a bit. Try to make sure it's level as much as possible. And if you have to shake the pan like that, that's perfectly fine. And now what we're going to do is grab some more chocolate chips and just casually sprinkle them on top, all right? So this part is up to you, however much you want to use. It's perfectly fine. Just want it to look nice and pretty. Nothing like some chocolate. Chocolate is always a beautiful thing in multiple ways. All right, so now that we have that done, what we're going to do is we're going to put this into the oven, which has been preheated to 350, and we're going to cook them for about 20 to 22 minutes or until you can insert a toothpick in the middle and it comes out clean. Now, after it's done, let it sit outside of the stove for about 10 to 15 minutes to cool off before you cut it. All right? Man, look. These bad boys look and smell delicious. Just remember though, let them cool off for about 15 minutes and then have at it. Healthy, tasty black bean brownies. Thanks, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.